Hi everyone. I've been busy today on the computer and it gets really tiring when you're working on a computer. I've been doing all sorts of bits and pieces and I had to go outside for some fresh air. It's a very, very windy day and I wouldn't mind being out there except for the computer work. So I had a quick walk around the garden and I spotted a couple of trees that need a little pruning. So I've got some apple wood here. I've got some willow and I've got some alder, and I use these or any wood that I find in the garden when I'm making a Druid's eye, which is just a little bit of a woven cross. Some people call it a parcels cross, and in Ireland it would traditionally be done at Halloween with natural things from the garden, you know, raffias and grasses and things like that. But I like to use wool when I'm making one. And I like to use the different woods because they impart a different type of magical energy. So the apple wood, for example, is very much of the goddess. We've got lots of myths and stories about the Isle of Avalon and goddess priestesses all associated with apples. And of course, we know that very old story about apples and wisdom and that sort of ancient past. And then we've got willow here, which is again very much a feminine plant. It's ruled by the moon and it's under the element of water, so there's a very feminine energy with it. And then alder is the warrior. It's a warrior tree because it was used in the ancient past on shields and for spears, and I think they used to put it on the wheels shafts of their chariots. This is ruled by fire and water. So it's interesting to think about the connotations and correspondences with different woods, and depending on who I'm making a cross for will determine which wood I choose. So today, just because I've got a lot of more willow than the other woods, I think I'll make a cross with the willow. It's a lovely way to meditate. It's a lovely way to think about how when you go out into nature, you realize everything is connected. And that's really what we're doing with as we're weaving around the wood. We're connecting the pieces of wood, and we're connecting in different ways with different elements, with different plants, different seasons. I'm going to use the greens in this cross because we're coming into springtime. So we can be meditating on that sense of renewal, hope and new beginnings. And I know the world doesn't seem too hopeful at the moment. We just have to believe that all is well, and that life is sacred and precious, and that we're all connected. There seems to be some agendas about dividing people and creating disharmony. So it's up to us individually, I think, to weave those connections and reweave them and create harmony. Another thing about these crosses, you can, as you're weaving, you can put in energy. You know, you can decide what you're weaving for. But also, I like the fact that it's a cross with 4 legs that are even, because we're going back to those correspondences of the 4 directions, the 4 winds, the 4 seasons. It's all about balance, you know. When things get out of balance, we end up in a terrible state, really. Kind of the state the world's in at the moment. It's not a great place, but it can be brought back into balance. And that's why we have to weave hope and joy and positivity into everything that we do. And so I'm using green because, as I said, it's springtime and the green is coming back, everything is popping into bud, and green is such a hopeful, positive colour because it represents life, and the wild interior consciousness can be ignited, I think, by the colour of green. I would recommend anybody who's feeling a little bit confused or bereft or hopeless, I recommend very incredibly strongly a book called The Greening by Paul Cudenec. I'll put the details below anyway. It is the most uplifting and hopeful and positive book. And he's basically writing about the green wildness, that wildness that's within all of us, which is natural, it's of nature, and to reignite it, to bring it to the fore again, because we want to live, the world wants to live, every being wants to live, and that wildness is what gives us life. And when we submit to, I don't know, pressures, or peer pressure, society's pressures, we are denying our own wildness, which I don't think is the best idea. And so I'm doing a little meditation with my Druid's eye. I think there's lots of names, as I said, but the name the Druid eye is suggesting that a power greater than ours is watching and caring for us. Lots of people get these for their children's nurseries or on the birth of a new baby, and they would certainly be hung up for protection. You find them all over the world. So it's not just an Irish thing. I've adopted the name Druid's Eye because that's how I was introduced to these by a friend of mine, and I think it's a very apt name, especially when we're working with wood as well, because of course a druid means a man of the oak, and the oaks were revered, as they should be. As these druid's eyes begin to fill out, you get this strange effect because of the wood crossing over underneath. And you can kind of feel yourself being sucked in and thrown out again. But it's the rotation of the wood as well as I'm working makes you feel there's a circle within a circle within a circle. It's very much like nature, different patterns in nature that repeat and repeat. And it's a handy little craft to do because you're using up some prunings and you're using up waste wool, and out of these little scraps you can create a thing of beauty. So, you know, when you see these patterns, they're telling us something. And I think one of the things they're telling us is that life does love to thrive, and no matter what we think is going on, we will thrive, we will survive, everything will be okay. Okay, so just make a little loop. So there, now I can hang this up. I think I'll put it near the front door in the hallway somewhere as a little seasonal hanging because it's very spring-like, spring colours. I make these. You can buy them from the website if you're interested, and you just let me know what colours you would like. Or you can learn to do it yourself. It's very meditative. And if you enjoyed this film, please subscribe and hit the bell because that improves the algorithms apparently. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope this wind dies down because I'm going outside all day tomorrow. And all the best. See you next week. Bye.